everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new weekly reading vlog. I am so busy over the next couple of weeks, like so busy at work, so busy with my personal life. We are moving. I have so much to do. I'm so busy. So I am not reading as much right now. I'm not doing as many videos in advance or editing as much as I usually am, but I don't want to just like stop posting content for a month. So I decided I was going to do a couple of weekly reading vlogs. So you can expect to see a couple of these over the next couple of weeks. I'm just going to be turning the cameras on Monday mornings and filming through Saturday, and then hopefully uploading on the next Monday. Some weeks might go a little long, some weeks might go a little short. It's all just going to depend on what I'm reading, what I'm doing, how much energy I have to pick up the camera. We'll see. My biggest thing with weekly reading vlogs, I'm so used to having themed reading vlogs. It's so hard for me to just sit down and be like, okay, a reading vlog is beginning, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna try my best. A reading vlog is beginning. I don't know what you're gonna see, don't know what I'm gonna read, don't know what I'm gonna do. Just know I'm gonna be really busy and I'm gonna take you along with me. So today is Monday, May 17th, and this week I am taking work off on Friday to go to the beach for the weekend. So I have a shorter work week, which means it is a more stressful and busy work week. I'm also in the middle of filming a reading vlog right now for this book, Flock by Kate Stewart. I am currently like 3/4 of the way through. I'm almost done with it, and as soon as I finish reading this book, I can finish that reading vlog and get it live. It should already be live for you though, so you can go check that out if you haven't yet. This is a smutty romance book that TikTok kept recommending to me, and I finally just caved in and read it. It's not going well so far. If you saw me post the video and you didn't watch it because you saw what the book was and you are not into smutty romances, so you didn't think you'd want to watch the video, don't worry. I didn't like this book either. At least I don't now. Maybe I do in the end. I don't know. Funny how time works, because it's already done and I've read the book by the time you're seeing this, but I have not finished it yet. It could turn around. People love this book. People are addicted to this book. I've hated every bit of it so far. But anyways, if you didn't watch the video because you weren't interested in the book, I still think it is a very interesting video and a reading experience. I'm like halfway through editing the vlog right now and I am just dying laughing at myself watching it. So definitely go check that out if you haven't seen it yet, even if you don't think you'd be interested in the book, because I also am not interested in the book. But anyway, I've got a little bit left to read of this. I'm going to try to get this done tonight or tomorrow. And then after that, it's just gonna be a reading adventure. I'm just gonna be doing lots of mood reading. Like I said, we are moving in 3 weeks, 2 weeks. We moved June 2nd, so I think that's like 2.5 weeks from now. I have already packed up a lot of my books, unfortunately, so I'm trying to keep a select few out that I think I'm gonna read next, that I can pick from to mood read over the next couple of weeks that we're still here, but might also be leaning more on audiobooks so that I can put more books away and not have to worry about them. I don't know. We're gonna see. It's gonna be an adventure. I am currently in the middle of one other book though that I started before I started Flock, and then I wanted to do the video for Flock, and so I got sidetracked, and that is House of Hollow by Krystal Sutherland. This is a new book that came out in, I was gonna say June, but June hasn't even happened yet. Maybe April or May of 2021. And it is a young adult book that is like fantasy, kind of horror, kind of mystery so far. I've really only read like the first chapter or two. I'm not very far into it, but I think I'm gonna fly through this book once I finally start reading it. I just haven't given it time or attention yet because I've been reading Flock and that sucks, and then I haven't been in the mood to read, so it's been a weird week. But I do want to get back into this. I have heard really amazing things, especially on Bookstagram. I've seen like overwhelming 5-star reviews for this book, but then I did see Kayla from Books and Lala just recently read it and she didn't like it as much. It took her longer to read. I think she gave it like a 3-4 star maybe. I don't know. It was not a 5-star rating for her, so then I wasn't like super compelled to get back into it, but I was pretty excited about it. It's one of my most anticipated reads. I love the cover. It's about these sisters who had something weird happen to them as a child. They have like a weird crescent moon mark on their neck that they don't know why. People are really attracted to them and their lives have been really weird ever since. Their appearance changed after they went like missing as kids, and then when they came back they became this huge spectacle. Their hair like turned white or blonde, like their appearance completely changed. People are really enthralled and enamored by them, and then in the present day the oldest sister ends up going missing, and so that's kind of what reunites them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm only like a chapter in, so I'll let you know more about this once I'm actually reading this. But like I said, I do need to read this book and finish it first, so this is going to be first priority, and then after I finish that, this will probably be up next. Will I read other books in this week? maybe, probably, definitely actually, because I'm going to the beach. So of course I'm gonna read a lot this weekend. I'm already tired just thinking about this week. You know those weeks? It's one of those weeks. But it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna live in the present. We're not gonna stress about the future or the past. I'm trying to get better about that. Anyway, okay, I've been talking for too long. This is just the setup of this vlog. There's no even thing to set up because there's no plan. So enjoy this weekly, Cooper just moved my camera. Enjoy this weekly reading vlog. You'll probably get at least 2 more of these eventually, the 3rd one or some week. I don't know. At some point you'll see me moving. Most of the time you'll see me packing. Again, why am I trying to prepare you? You'll see what you see. Enjoy. Live my life with me and it'll just be a surprise. Now Tuesday, and I stayed up way too late reading this book, even though it's so bad. It continues to get worse. I only have a little bit left. I don't really want to tell you too much about it because I have a whole vlog for this, but like, it's just not good. It's just not good. TikTok, you let me down. But today I am going to finish that book. It's gonna be out of my life so I can move on to an actually good book, hopefully. It is really gloomy today. It is very looking like it's gonna rain, but I don't know if it's gonna rain, but it looks raining. Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte just posted a new reading vlog. The word thunderstorms was in the title, so I feel like it's gonna be the perfect vibe for my work this morning. I'm also really hungry and I don't have any good breakfast items here, so I don't know what to do. But I feel like just having a moment, romanticizing my life a little bit, having like a nice little breakfast, a nice little coffee, a nice little work moment in this gloomy day. But I don't have breakfast, so I'm gonna do it all without the breakfast, and we'll just be hungry until lunch and it'll be fine. But yeah, that is it. Weekly vlogging is so hard when you have a full-time job and you're like, good morning, I'm working, then I'm reading, then I'm working, then I'm reading, then I'm working, then I'm reading. That's all I do. But that's what it's gonna have to be for right now. So I'm gonna make some coffee because I also just need to wake up a little bit. I feel like that's kind of bringing the mood down with this gloomy weather. I'm gonna put on like a cardigan. I want a cardigan and a coffee and good music and a candle. So I'm gonna make that happen. everyone, happy Wednesday. A couple of quick updates. I finally finished the Flock book. It was terrible. Second worst book I've ever read of all time. Like I said, go watch the video if you're interested to hear more about that, but it was so bad I couldn't believe it. I started reading House of Hollow more last night. I am about 80 pages in and I am really enjoying the writing style. I'm really enjoying the story. I'm really pulled in. So far all that's happened is the oldest sister has now gone missing, and so the middle sister and the youngest sister are working together. They found some clues that the oldest sister left behind, and there's this guy with like a bull head who keeps showing up, and it's really creepy, and I just am really liking it. I really like the way it's written, and I think I'm gonna read it really fast. I think I'm gonna like it. It's going great. I'm so happy to be reading a book I enjoy. But right now I'm getting ready to cook dinner, and I think I want to listen to an audiobook while I cook, or Taylor Swift music. What a harsh decision to have to make. But I'm gonna try an audiobook. I'm gonna try the Anthropocene review, or reviewed, I can't remember what it's called, but the new John Green book. I got this book through the Libro FM ALC program, Advanced Listener Copies. I'm so thankful to have received it. I am so excited to listen to it because John Green made a TikTok that almost made me cry the other day, and he said, if this TikTok makes you emotional, try out my book. And so yeah, it's time for me to give the book a try. So I think I'm gonna listen to that audiobook and see how that goes, and then could also be a good like audiobook to listen to while driving to the beach tomorrow. So I'm just trying to find something easy to listen to right now, and I think that'll be a good one. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll let you know how it goes. And this number was not updated in days. It was last updated May 18th. Today's the 20th, so I'm waiting for it to update today. And I'm hoping that we made it. We have much to catch up on. It is now Sunday, so we are at the end of our week. I did a lot of reading over the past couple of days, but I was also at the beach and just having a good time, so I was not doing reading updates. So I have a lot to update you on. First, I finished House of Hollow by Krystal Sutherland, and I felt like it was okay. I really liked the writing style of this one. I thought it was very interesting, sort of grotesque, but also lyrical and mystical and like dark fairy tale vibes for sure. I think my favorite thing about it was just the overall aesthetic of the book. Like, it very much matches the cover. The writing very much matches like this vibe. So if you're into this aesthetic, then I think you'll like the aesthetic of this book. Ultimately, I just didn't feel like a lot happened in the end. It was pretty much just a story about sisters, and it was really slow paced. It was definitely more of a mystery than a thriller or horror, which is fine. It was just like a slow mystery pace. Not a lot happened, not a lot of surprises. I felt like I was the least interested in the character that we were following, because the character we follow is the youngest sister, Iris, and she has no memory of what happened to her and her sisters when they went missing when they were young. And so the whole mystery is like she doesn't even remember, but she also doesn't really care to remember. Like, she kind of just wants to not worry about it and just kind of move on, and all she wants is to be normal. And so I don't know, I just felt like she was sort of the least interesting character to follow. I was very interested in her oldest sister Gray, the one who goes missing. I thought she was a very interesting character. You find out things about her throughout the story and she becomes even more interesting, even more complex, and I really would have loved to follow the story from her perspective. Or I also really liked the mom as a character. I thought she was very interesting, very complex, and would have been very interesting to follow as a character as well. So I just was the least interested in who our main character was, so that kind of pulled me out of the story a little bit. Overall, it was like 3.5 star rating for me. Not terrible, not mind-blowing for me, probably not a favorite of the year. I did just like the writing style and the aesthetic. I would read more from this author. I would recommend this book to people, but it just did not blow me away like it has blown some people away. I also listened to a lot more of the Anthropocene reviewed by John Green on my car rides on the way to the beach and on the way back home from the beach. I have not quite finished this book yet, but I only have 30 minutes left on the audiobook, so I'm like really close to being done. I'll finish it tonight, but I've definitely read enough of it to feel like I can give it a rating. I'll also say giving this book a rating is very ironic because the entire book is an essay collection basically about John Green reviewing different parts of the human experience in what we have lived so far as humans, and he makes like a mockery of it in the beginning. Like the whole thing is kind of satirical in a way. There's a whole beginning essay about just how humans have collectively moved to this 5-point rating scale and like how that has just come out in the recent decades and like what that even means and how everything is subjective. And yeah, he just has whole thoughts about reviews in general. I'm sure as an author too, when you get your art reviewed, that just puts a whole different level of thought on the 5-star rating scale. But anyway, each essay talks about something and ends it with giving it a rating out of 5. So there are a lot of different essays in the book. Some are more personal to his own experience, things like the Indy 500, because he's from Indianapolis and that's like a really important thing to him that he does with his friends, moments he's had with his wife throughout his life or ex-girlfriends and his children. There's a whole essay on whispering, and then he talks about his daughter whispering to him, and it was very cute. But then there are also ones that are a little bit more broad in general to just the overall human experience, and there are some things that are really scientific and they definitely go over my head and I'm like pulled out for a little bit because I just don't even know what he's talking about. But I just really like the way John Green writes. I think he is an excellent writer. I really loved this essay collection. I had a really good time listening to it. I still have just a little bit left, but I don't think my mind's going to change on it. I think it is very well done. I really like the theme. I really like the way it's all connected. I'm sure he's going to tie it all back together even more in the last little bit of the book, so I'm excited for that. I also am really glad I listened to this one on audiobook because he reads it himself, and so that's always fun. So if I had to ironically give this a rating, I would give it like a 4 out of 5. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it is mind-blowing or revolutionary, but it is pretty interesting. He also started writing this at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and he talks a lot about his anxiety and OCD and how he dealt with the pandemic, and it still is dealing with the pandemic as it's not over, and just how in those moments you're thinking about all these things about the human experience and how what was once mundane has now become extraordinary, and the extraordinary at the beginning of the pandemic, things like wearing a mask and social isolation seemed extraordinary, but now that was mundane. Yeah, I think the whole thing's just interesting. I think it was written at an interesting time. I think it's an interesting examination of the human experience. I really like thinking about the human experience and reading about it, studying about it, just diving into culture in itself I think is really interesting to me. So this just personally hit on my taste. I thought it was pretty good, and I am glad that I read it. And then finally, I picked up one more book this weekend, and that is The Plot by Hanff. Korelitz. I did not know this when I picked this up, but this is the same author of the book that is called You Should Have Known, which has been adapted into an HBO show called The Undoing, that Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant show. So I've seen that show, did not read that book, had no idea this was the same author. I actually thought this author was a man when I saw this book, and the main character in the book is also a man, and Stephen King blurbed it, so I just assumed this was a book by a man, but it's not. So this is a book that recently came out. It is a thriller book. When I first heard about it, I was not that interested in it because it is about a writer and Stewart stealing an idea for a book from someone else. And I don't really love reading thrillers about writers and just writing in general, and like it's another author who's behind on deadline, and I just don't like reading about that over and over and over again. So I did not think I'd be interested in this book. But then I started seeing some really good reviews for it. I was just starting to get a little more intrigued in it, so I thought I would give it a chance, and I am really enjoying this book so far. I'm like halfway, a little over halfway through the book, so I'm not going to finish it in this vlog, but I really like what I've read so far. I will say it is extremely slow paced, and so I'm hoping that it is rewarding in the end, because if it is not rewarding and there's not some big twist that really pulls you in, then I feel like I won't give this book as great of a rating, because it is just so slow. But it is reminding me a lot of Who is Maude Dixon, which is another book I read recently and that I really loved. So surprisingly, these like literary thrillers, in that they are thrillers about people in the literary world, like authors, I'm really liking them, and I just did not think that would be something I enjoyed. I usually don't, but the ones I've read recently are pretty good, and this one's pretty good. So this is a story about this guy who is an author. He had a book come out that did pretty well. After that, he like can't seem to get that same success again. He ends up teaching in an MFA program, this like symposium thing that goes on for a couple weeks, and he has this one guy in one of his classes who is just like a real jerk about his story. He thinks his story is the best. He's like, I've got the best plot. I wouldn't even have to be a good writer to make this story good, because I just know this is like the best idea ever. Like Oprah's book club will pick it up. Steven Spielberg will want to direct this. It's going to be the best thing ever, and I'm not going to tell any of my classmates about it. Like I don't want to workshop my ideas because I don't want anyone to steal it, because I know I've got like a solid thing. And so the teacher is just obviously very annoyed at that and thinks, okay, yeah, just another writer who thinks they have the best idea. But then the guy ends up telling him the idea, and the teacher is like, oh snap, that is like a really solid idea, and I do think this guy would get all that success from this story. And then he kind of moves on. Life moves on, the program ends, he goes through different teaching phases, he still tries to make different books successful, but he never really gets that same spark again. And then one day he encounters another kind of writing jerk who reminds him of that first guy, and so he thinks to just look him up to see, oh, did he ever write that book? Like whatever happened with him, just looks him up on the internet, and he finds out that that guy died. And so then he decides to steal that dude's story idea and write the book himself, and he does, and it becomes incredibly successful, and it does become like optioned and being made by Steven Spielberg, and Oprah does want to pick it up. Like it is the big success that everyone thought it would be. But then he starts getting emails and letters. Someone is starting to accuse him of saying he's a thief, and or the person, whoever it is, knows that he stole the story. And so far, that's what's happened. Tension is high. He is very nervous about this. His editor and agent have started to catch wind of this. Lawyers are coming in. He's like, don't worry, it's not real. And they're like, oh, don't worry, like everyone successful gets accused of this sometimes, and blah, blah, blah. So they're like starting to deal with it, but I'm pretty much at the midpoint, so I'm assuming it's all going to go kind of crazy from this point on, so I'm excited to see how the rest of this goes. But what I like about it so far, I do really like the writing style. I think it's very well written. It is a more literary thriller in that it is written where it cares about setting up the scene and building the characters. It's not just like trying to be a quick page turner with lots of dialogue. There is a lot of intentionality in the writing, which I'm really enjoying. I also am just personally really enjoying the tone of this story. It really is just very like academic feeling, and I was an English major in school, and so this does remind me of like my creative writing workshops and like being with the MFA students in some of the classes, and like they TA'd for me, and I don't know, it's just like very relatable to me because of that. There's a lot of literary references in this book that I can pick up on, so I'm just personally really connecting to the story, and I think that's why I'm liking it more. But what really keeps you hooked in the story and what is making me persist through a slower pace, like really slow burn thriller, is you don't know what the plot of the book is that the dude wrote, and for some reason that's like really enticing to me. Like I really want to know what was that amazing, outstanding plot. I don't know if that's going to be revealed, but I think it would be, because you also get excerpts of the book within the book. The novel that the guy wrote is called Crib. It has to do with a mother and a daughter living in isolation, and they kind of hate each other, and the daughter wants to get away, and that's kind of all you know about it so far, even still. And so I'm waiting to figure out like what was this mind-blowing book, and then what is the twist of who knows that he stole this idea, like what's going to happen, like what's going to be the repercussion. Because if you pull yourself out of the story for a bit, it doesn't feel like the stakes are that high, because I can't imagine, like if we found out that Gillian Flynn did not write Gone Girl, would people really care? I don't think people would really care. I don't feel like normal people normal everyday people would care that much. Like maybe the book world would be upset and other authors would probably have feelings, and like the book community in itself would probably be upset, but I just don't think it'd be that big of a deal. I feel like the editorial team would just work to kind of cover it up and move on, honestly. I mean, famous authors have ghostwriters, like so many famous authors who are pumping out a ton of books have so many ghostwriters. So it's not that crazy of a concept to me to have someone else write it, for one. But that's not even it. He just took the story concept from someone else. Someone just said, I want to write a story about this crazy thing, and he just wrote the story. So that's not even like, I don't even feel like that would hold up in a court of law. So I don't know, the stakes don't feel that high yet. If what I suspect is true, then maybe the stakes would be higher, because I am wondering if this narrator is as reliable as we think he is, or if he perhaps has some secrets that hasn't been revealed to the reader yet. I don't know. I'm just hoping this has a really good payoff at the end. I'm sucked in enough to want to finish it. I honestly might finish it tonight because I just want to know what happens, but I'm not going to finish it in this vlog because I am wrapping that up right about now. So I hope you enjoyed this week in my life weekly reading vlog with me. I don't do these a lot. I think this is only the second one I've ever done, so they just still feel kind of weird to me to not have a theme or a certain objective of the amount of books I read. I'm just mood reading and just bringing you along with me, and it's actually really nice because then I just read what I want to read. So like I said, there are probably a couple more of these coming, maybe at least one more, I'm sure. And in the next one, I will tell you about the ending of the plot once I finish that, and then whatever else I read after that. Comment down below and let me know if you have read any of these books. What do you think of them? Did you think House of Hollow was a 5-star read like a lot of people do, or were you more like me and it was like a meh kind of read for you, where it was good but not great? Have you read the plot yet? Is the ending going to surprise me? Am I going to like it? I don't know. I hope so. And have you read John Green's new book yet? If not, I think you should. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!